You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
Tumultuous week with the stock market, and I was trying to think who knows more about the value of our financial institutions and can give us good advice. I can't think of anybody better than Rob Arnaught. Rob's been on the show many times before. You know Rob as the chairman of the board of research affiliates. He's the author of many books and studies, and has been one of the most successful investors I know. So, Rob, thanks so much for joining this week.
It's a real privilege. How are you doing?
Thank you. I don't know how I'm doing. One day I feel great. The next day, not so good. It's been a tumultuous week. And I think people are looking back, trying to, people are getting a little motion sickness watching the market. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Wild.
Well, you probably have.
Well, yeah, absolutely. During the global financial crisis, during the COVID mess, during the aftermath of the dot-com bubble, tumult in the markets is rare, but it happens. It's perfectly normal.
Why does it happen? Why does it happen?
Surprise. When the dot-com bubble burst, people thought the tech stocks were going to keep going to the moon. And when the global financial crisis hit, people thought that the financial system was going to crumble, and it didn't. When the COVID crash happened, people thought this is going to kill scores of millions of people all over the world, and it didn't, although it did kill a lot. And what you have here is tariffs, and the thought was tariffs are going to destroy the world's economy. No, they won't. I was candidly quite surprised that the market was so surprised.
Yeah, you were telling me that when we were talking off the air, Rob, that hey, you're surprised that everyone is so surprised. I kind of agree with that. I mean, look, Donald Trump, when he ran for president, he said his favorite word was tariff. So that should have probably been a tip-off that he was going to go forward with this agenda. Why is the market surprised?
Well, he even talked about the magnitude. I think the market was surprised because he's had practice in recent weeks of threatening a tariff and on the verge of imposing the tariff, backing off. Right. And this go around, I think the thinking was, okay, Wednesday's going to come and he's going to either not do what he's threatening, or he's going to do it on a smaller scale. And he didn't. He did it on the scale that he had in mind, that he'd been talking about. That took everyone by surprise.
That's right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you. I mean, so people are afraid right now. They're trying to figure out what to do. We look at our 401ks and we see that, one day it's up, the next day it's down. So what is the best strategy if you're just a casual investor? You maybe have your retirement fund in the markets. What do you do?
Well, firstly, I wrote a paper in 1993 with one of my favorite co-authors, a guy named Peter Bernstein. Brilliant man. Sadly passed in 2009. But in any event, he and I wrote a paper entitled "Bull Market, Bear Market, Who Cares?" And the point of the paper was you don't need a particular value for your 401k or your pension or your brokerage account. You need an ability to fund long-term spending.
Right.
And the long-term spending that a portfolio can sustain doesn't change much from day to day. The income stream that your 401k is going to produce isn't much different from what it was a week ago or a month ago or a year ago. Bull markets are good if what you're planning to do is withdraw the money and spend it right away, because then it's worth more and you can spend more. If you're planning to spend money from your portfolio 20 years from now, you should be hoping for a bear market so you can buy more at lower prices and have more of an income stream 20 years from now. So ironically, people shouldn't be rooting for a bull or a bear market, except if they plan to spend now or if they plan to spend many, many years from now. And in the former case, you should be hoping for a bull market. In the latter case, you should be hoping for a bear market. But
so,
anyway, sorry
to interrupt.
Go ahead.
So you're saying that because I think most people who are listening to this show, although we have a more elderly audience, but we have a lot of young people too. So if you're a young person, you probably want to buy more stock in a bear market because you're going to hold on to it for a long time, and you're probably going to see a higher return.
It's called dollar cost averaging. And,
right.
And if a market's down 50% and the income stream, the dividend stream of the stock market hasn't changed, then you're able to buy twice as much in future income stream with every $100 you invest than you could before the market fell. So people don't think that way. It goes against human nature.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
And so now we have a situation where, well, first of all, you and I have known each other a long time. You're pretty libertarian, I think. Is it safe to say in terms of your political orientation? Right. So
absolutely,
you probably aren't a big fan of tariffs.
I think the ideal tariff rate is 0, except when it's the geopolitical.
Well, Art Laffer and I just had a piece in the Wall Street Journal arguing for that just the other day, so we agree with you. Now, let me ask you a strategic question. It's not a finance question. It's just, so if we have low tariffs and other countries have high tariffs, now Milton Friedman, who I knew, you may have known Milton, he used to say, well, if other countries are going to impose tariffs on us, we should just, that they're just hurting themselves. We should still have free trade. Trump is saying we have to have reciprocal tariffs. Where do you fall on that?
I lean more in the direction of Milton Friedman, but I'm not sure Trump disagrees all that much with Uncle Milty.
Right.
Trump, back in 2019, I think it was, at a G7 meeting, said to other members of the G7, look, you want zero tariffs, give us zero tariffs, we'll give you zero tariffs. And so assuming that he still feels that way, then he's kind of a closet libertarian in terms of his end goal. I think he made two strategic blunders last Wednesday. One, he didn't say what he was going to do with the revenues. Now, if he'd said, by the way, we're going to pair these big, beautiful tariffs with a big, beautiful tax cut, I want to see the corporate rate down to 15. I want to see the personal rate down to 30. Then people would have said, okay, so he's got something useful to do with the money. Great. But he didn't say that.
Although he has, hold on just for a second. He has sort of hinted at that. He hasn't said it directly, but, he has said, look, I want to have, a lower tax on things that are produced in the United States and a higher tax through a tariff on things that come into the United States. So that, that's sort of the framework that he said. He says he wants 15% on things that are made in America. So that could be a good way to offset the tariff.
Right. So that's exactly right, but he didn't say it. And the other thing that I think was a little bit of a strategic blunder is he didn't talk about his end goal. He talked about big, beautiful tariffs, but he didn't talk about, well, gosh, if our trade counterparties get rid of their tariffs, I'm perfectly happy to have zero tariffs with geopolitical allies and friends of the country. I'm not going to have zero tariffs with geopolitical adversaries who are saber rattling and are a threat. And if he'd said that, but then again, his Bible is the book Art of War, written 2,500 years ago. In Art of War, many of the precepts are ones that he follows very carefully, very assiduously, like surprise your enemy, like don't tell people what you're planning to do, like the best war is one in which you win without firing a shot. And threatening. By the way,
hold on, Rob. Let me just say something. What you're describing is somewhat similar to a very similar book called The Art of the Deal, which Trump, he is a pretty good negotiator, as I've seen. And I think some of those lessons you learned from The Art of War are very similar to the lessons that I learned from reading The Art of the Deal.
Yeah, and the inspiration for the title "Art of the Deal" was Art of War.
I didn't know that.
Remember the name of the author.
Oh, that's cool.
Trying to remember the name of the author of Art of War, but anyway, Chinese book. And you can count on it that every member of the Chinese Politburo has studied Art of War closely, if not memorized it. And you can count on it that 99% of the people of the power elite in Washington and the quarters of power in Europe have not, even though they know that it's Trump's Bible. Why the heck don't they take it's a short book. It'd take 3-4 hours to read it. Why not take 3 or 4 hours, read the damn book and have a better sense of what to expect from this guy?
Yeah. Well, great points. Now, I wanted to just ask you before I leave this subject, because there's something else I want to talk to you about. By the way, I'm talking to Rob Arnaught from Research Associates and really one of the primary premier investment gurus, just kind of walking us through what's happened with these markets. So what do you do now? I mean, what are you doing, Rob? Are you advising people sit pat, or because everybody's nervous?
Yeah, well, firstly, a 10% market move isn't a big deal in the long-term scheme of things.
That's true.
It feels like a big deal when it happens, especially if it happens in a day. But it doesn't change your wealth or your future spending ability in any material way. And so the first thing is calm down. Don't panic. Look at your investments from a long-term perspective. When you get tumult in the markets, there's sometimes if there's a market crash, and I would describe those 2.5 days as a crash. But if you get a market crash, you're going to take no prisoners. But after the crash happens, there's a sorting out process. Things that were already cheap, U.S. small cap value was already cheap. Things that were already cheap are now cheaper. Right. And so the high likelihood is that there's a sorting out process in which what is now newly cheaper recovers handily, and what was already expensive before the crash and is still expensive after the crash winds up not rebounding so well. So I think that we're likely to see a sorting out process in the weeks and months ahead in which, well, firstly, what is cheap? Non-U.S. stocks are cheap. There's a reason for that. American exceptionalism has been real. But at the same time, does that justify a 2x multiple on U.S. versus Europe or U.S. versus emerging markets? I don't think so. I think it justifies a differential, but not a 2x differential.
Well, Rob,
yeah.
Sorry, just we've got literally 30 seconds left. So tell us, you can finish your sentence. Sorry to interrupt you, but we've got a hard break coming up.
Sure. Basically, I would buy what's newly cheaper, non-U.S. stocks, emerging market stocks, small cap value stocks in the U.S. Russell 2000 value is very cheap. This is an opportunity to rebalance and pivot into what's newly cheap.
Oh, by the way, on the way out, Rob, just literally in 60 seconds, can you summarize this new study that you've just put out called Stimulus Does Not Stimulate? I love that study. We're going to highlight in our hotline, but give us the Cliff Notes version of that study.
Well, super Cliff Notes version is everyone talks about stimulus. Everyone talks about government following a pro-growth policy, by which they mean more spending to stimulate more growth. No,
it doesn't work.
Government spending detracts from growth, and it detracts from growth for a very simple reason. There's a lot of people in government who are serious, hardworking, passionate about what they do. There's a lot who aren't. There's not a lot of accountability. There's not a lot of upside for doing fabulous work, and there's hardly any downside for doing miserable work.